Hello. Everyone going?
Well,
You've
hello,
joined
What up?
hello.
What up?
CloudStationTV, and we got some great people here for you. So we're CloudStationTV, the first PlayStation podcast with a focus on cloud gaming. So
Yeah.
That's
here
what's
I
up.
got some guys from the regular panel. I got to my left, which is to the right on the screen, Ray3473,
How
Sharad,
you
the man,
doing,
the gaming
everybody?
cyborg.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all.
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Doing great. I actually played some wrestling. I played some on PlayStation Now. I was I was the Swiss Cyborg. I think his name is Cesario, or I was beating up on. I was beating somebody up, but I was playing some WWE 19, not 20, but 19 on PlayStation Now earlier today, and then a lot of Resident Evil 8 on my PS5.
Nice.
That's awesome. And right under me, JD3MXP. How you doing, man?
Man, I am doing well. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cloud Station TV. Another episode is going down.
Awesome. And we also got Stadia Vet who will be joining us later on. He's got other obligations right now. And last but not least, we have the gaming advocate, Chase the man. How you doing, man? Good to see you here.
It's good to see you too, man. It's been a day. Had a lot going on with work. Trying to unwind for about an hour playing. So I was just telling you on Minecraft Dungeons, and now I'm ready to talk some PlayStation, some cloud. I haven't been keeping up as much as I'd like to with it, so I'm curious to kind of give my in the moment thoughts about some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. I'm excited about it.
Awesome, man. So, before we proceed, generally when I get guests, I ask a few questions just to prod around, see what their history is and what they think and all that. And so, Chase, what is your background with PlayStation in terms of gaming?
Late 90s, early 2000s was when I actually my dad took me down to, which is no longer in existence, but Kmart, which ended up getting bought out by Sears. But got my first PlayStation. I remember the demo disc with Parappa the Rapper.
Oh yeah,
Literally,
I remember that
literally
one.
if y'all remember, they had the kind of like the shelving, and then right next to the shelves they had like the demo disc that you could pick out as you got your actual PlayStation. So I remember bringing that home, setting it up, and I've owned a PlayStation literally every generation up to this current generation, just because I've always felt like they've had some of the better offerings, at least value-wise, value for me in my use case. But this is the first time that I've never actually owned one at launch. So it's a little bit of a different scenario for me this time around.
Yeah, I can say it's a pretty great machine, but I won't put it too much in your face, so I won't brag too much.
You're not going to sell it to him right now?
Hey, Doctor just recently, he was looking. My wife surprised me and my son. But I think she bought it off of eBay, and I know she paid. I mean, she paid way too much, but hey, we're enjoying it.
Well, can I just say one thing? That one of my favorite, just to give Sony some proper credit, one of my favorite games of all time, and it was an exclusive to Sony and the PlayStation, was from Zipper Interactive, which are the creators of SOCOM, and it was Massive Action Game, and it was one of the games that was ahead of its time. 256 players on a map on the PlayStation 3, so I still love Sony. It just came down to cost analysis.
Ray's looking for his copy of that game. I know I've got it in a trade somewhere as well.
It's way back over here, and I'm not going to reach for it. But, man, you know what? It makes me mad because all I can do is just look at it. I can't even play it, But it's you can talk man. I remember this was huge. This was massive.
It was groundbreaking back then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I missed that train. I missed the SoulCon train for the PlayStation 3 because that was when Sony was charging out the wazoo for the PlayStation 3, and I went over to Xbox. I'm like, I'm not paying this much for a PlayStation 3. Let me get this Xbox real quick. And I was Xbox and Nintendo Wii, so I missed the whole SoulCon by the time I got my PS3.
Oh man, you would have loved. I remember I got the box set with the headphones, so I could like Charlie, follow me, Alpha, Beta, and my wife was like, shut up, and I'm like, oh man, God, those were some good. Hey, those were good times, man. Those were good times.
They were.
Yeah.
That's some pretty great. Yeah, great time for PlayStation. Also, before we proceed with the next question, just want to check around the chat and thank everyone for coming. We got Paul Bayram in the chat. We got
Paul.
Ray Sherrod.
Oh, Paul.
Who's that loser?
I don't know. So, Paul, thanks for coming. And Rodella, a.k.a. iFace Crook, a classic on our show. Good to see you, man. And, yeah, we got JD, Chase, you guys. We got Brian De Silva, X Shadow X. How are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Good to see you. Yes, it is. Controller and headset is amazing. JD and I, we both have the PlayStation 5 headset.
Yeah.
I love it. I had the Xbox One before, and since I was going to the PlayStation 5, I actually switched it up. And personally, I'm much more comfortable with them. I prefer the sound. Awesome headset. And we just got joining in the chat, Megatron.
Hey,
Meg in the building.
How you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, Planet Side 2 came. Yeah, that was an amazing game as well. It was more MMO style than Mag. Mag was like a oversized battlefield, kind of.
That's it. Really helped kind of innovate and move the industry in a different direction because they were doing again large scale player PvP. You had 64 players in their base mode, and then the 256 mode was just insane because you had one person doing call outs like as a general down to everybody down to the bottom, and everybody was going and doing their own missions. It was insanity, absolute insanity. And SOCOM 2 was on the PlayStation 2, so that's kind of what got me into, as I've mentioned before on a couple other shows, but into PvP and into third-person shooters. So,
yeah, Planet Side though was a bit more MMO oriented, while the Mag was more like it was split up in rounds. Like you had to conquer some base. While Planet Side, it's an open world.
right.
It's a bit of a different game, but it's also a very fun game. SOCOM today will be a hit. PS needs their
it's
multiplayer
coming.
game.
It's coming. It's coming back, man.
Oh,
It's
man.
coming.
That will make me buy a PlayStation.
It will. It's
That would make everybody buy a PlayStation from what I'm hearing.
There's been a lot of clones out there. There's been a lot of clones, but it's. I honestly, I think it's gonna come back. I think.
There's some stuff on the way. A lot of stuff.
Battlefield.
I got my headset last
yeah.
week just in time for Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, enjoy the
God,
headset.
you know what? You guys gonna
Enjoy
make me jump in my car after the show and go to GameStop and make me
You
go
gotta
buy
get
the
the
headset.
headset, man.
You know what, man? I had the headsets, and I was picturing Dr. Space was here and JD was there, and he was like, "Get it!" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna wait. I gotta wait." So I waited, but I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get it.
Don't let that credit card statement get you in trouble, man.
Oh.
No.
I know the feel with
White.
Look, Ray gets in trouble when he's on our show and our podcast. So you go out and buy those headphones.
Dude. No, man,
I get them back.
Dude, my wife. It was about 2:00 in the morning, and she did the worst thing. I had the lights out, and she tapped me on my shoulder while I was playing Resident Evil 8. And I must have jumped. I never jumped so high because I was just fighting one of the vampire chicks, And I'm like, and she's like, "Hey, ah!" It's like, don't do that. She says, "What?" Because I'm playing Resident Evil 8.
You got a visit of Lady Dimitrescu.
Whew, man, she's probably one of the most best looking evil beings. Like, I mean, good lord. But when she gets mean though, whoo, watch out.
Anyway, this is getting off the rails. Let's get back to those questions.
Yes.
So, Chase, what has been your favorite game on any PlayStation console since the beginning? Your one game that's been your favorite.
Yeah, I talked about it a minute ago. It's SOCOM 2. It's hands down. It's still, and I'm just being biased because I'm a SOCOM fan, but I think it's the best third-person shooter still. It still stands the test of time. It has some of the best elements. Every game tries to incorporate it. The Division has done it. Rogue Company that's out now uses elements of SOCOM.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike, took some elements from some of their further iterations of Counter-Strike. It's a game that stood the test of time. So for me, it's SOCOM 2.
It's bound to come back. It's like the studio's having what's SOCOM studio, Band or Guerrilla?
Ben.
It was Ben, Sony Ben?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things they just they were trying to do what's the name of the game, the sequel Gone.
Days Gone.
Days Gone, yeah.
Days
They
Gone.
were going to do the sequel to Days Gone, and they got turned down. And immediately, like the head of the studio updated his LinkedIn, saying that he's working on what is at this point the biggest multiplayer project he's ever worked in his career.
Please.
So
Well, they're remaking everything, man. So you know they're gonna remastered, remake. You know it's coming.
Don't get my hopes high, Ray. Don't do it.
PlayStation is balancing stuff. They're bringing new IPs forward, like the Horizon Zero Dawn that now Forbidden West is getting forward. It's a brand new IP and they're pushing it. And there's some older stuff coming back as well. So it's like Ratchet and Clank. That's a PlayStation 2 original series that evolved into the PS3. And PS4, it was absent. And they only did the first one that they remade for the PS4. And now they're coming back bigger than ever with a Rift Apart, which previews have come out today. And
Yeah.
everyone's like on their knees in front of this game. It looks so good. It looks just crazy. So yeah, that's gonna be big.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot going on right now. We're gonna cover that. Like there's some big news that came out today. We're gonna cover that in a moment. But before that, Chase, where do you see PlayStation go from here in the world of cloud gaming?
Well, I mean, they've already done some improvements and enhancements with PlayStation Now, and I think one of the biggest ones as of late was the enhancements to 1080p. And why is that happening? Well, it's because the marketplace is moving. I mean, you've got companies such as Stadia, you've got which is with Google, you got Amazon Luna that's making movement. Of course, you've got Xbox doing their initiative with, which is now the official title, which pick one Xbox, please. xCloud, game streaming beta, pick something. But Xbox game streaming beta. So all these companies are trying to kind of get their corner of the market, if you will, of trying to kind of establish a foothold. And I think the battle, again, and I've said this many times, and I really stand by this, is not going to be fought in North America and in Europe. It's in these emerging markets. So places like India, places like South Korea, Japan, Australia, Brazil. This is where the frontier is going to be. That's the space race that's happening. That's why you see so many companies, case in point Xbox, partnering with SK Telecom in regards to South Korea. So there's all this movement isn't just an accident. These companies are trying to position themselves 5 to 7 years from now. And I, Sony's been quiet, but I don't expect them to not continue to be in the race. They're just making more, I think, smaller movements, being a little bit quieter about it, and it's not as kind of like as shock and awe as like a Microsoft is doing, or a Stadia or a Luna. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, Interesting. And you're saying they're not making much noise. While you say that, there's an article today. Won't be long. Just gonna show this on stream. I don't know if anyone here read that. It's Wired, a excellent news source. They do a lot of interesting article. They published an article. PlayStation 5 is starting to look like a revolution it promised, and that includes I think it talked the head of the PlayStation Studios. So he actually was in charge of Guerrilla Games before, and in charge of the PlayStation Studios. So any first-party studios have to answer to that. And part of this, there is one extremely interesting line of stores.
Hey, Doctor, your mic is cutting in and out, my friend.
Dude, I thought it was just me, man. I thought it was,
Yeah, me too. I was like, yo.
Doc, you sound like you're going underwater, bruh. Swimming.
Yeah, whatever you just said, we did not hear that.
1, 2, test. Okay. Well, don't want that view.
There you go.
So, yeah, we're using a new software. We're testing it. If we're having problem with the microphone, it might be resolving the test and move it on to another software. So we're gonna have to do a bit more testing with it, but that might be the source. So I did do a quote earlier. So basically, they're talking about the fact that with the pandemic, they had some problems. In some cases, like Elmathus, he was at Guerrilla before. He was responsible for starting the studio for the game Horizon Forbidden West.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried it lately after the studio events without his supervision. And he said one of the thing that was problematic is not all the mocap was done, not all the voice acting was done, and not all the play testing was done before the pandemic hit. So they were able to send boots for the voice recording. As for the mocap, they had to get some people in, but they had to make it much safer because of COVID, so limit contacts. But as for play testing, what they ended up doing was, and he mentions that they improved PlayStation Now in order to allow the devs to play test that game, which is a PlayStation 5 game. So it's kind of a similar line we saw with Stadia, that we know that Bungie was using Stadia to play test the Destiny 2. Yeah. And they actually improved their game a lot on the cloud because they were using Stadia for it. And it had a very positive effect between the studio and Stadia. And now we're seeing the same thing that he's saying. Pretty much most of the studios are using PlayStation Now at the moment for play testing their games, which is extremely interesting in terms of cloud gaming for us consumers, as we've seen the effect lately that the whole service latency got reduced, image quality got much better, everything just got much more stable. Like even at the beginning when I noticed it was 1080p, once in a while I'd start playing a game and quality would drop down a bit here and there. I would lose some frames. I don't see that anymore. It's now much more stable than it was. They keep improving it, and it would seem that the reason why there is so much improvement done on the system is because they're using it internally for testing their games, PlayStation 5 games. And also, those games require the DualSense, that controller. If you don't have the controller, most of the games like Ratchet and Clank, for example, actually uses the trigger. Like if you half press it, it fires a gun in a certain way, and the trigger stops, and you have to push even harder to get the rest of the trigger to get a different effect on the gun going. So there's a lot of things that if you don't have the DualSense on, you won't be able to play the game. Even the DualShock 4 doesn't work for some of the exclusive games. So it's some pretty interesting advancements that's going on that they mentioned. It's the first time they mentioned PlayStation 5 games running on PS now, and they talk about it in this article here. So I had the quote earlier. I shared it on Twitter. So what do you guys think about this?
I think it's great. I think it's a great advancement that they're able to test games in this environment that we're in this pandemic environment. And like you said, it's something similar to what Bungie was doing with Destiny and being able to still work on the game while you're not able to come in contact with people and seeing how that works. And I agree with you that ever since PlayStation Now has been updated, I have not really seen the quality go down. Like people are playing Stadia and certain games, or even on the CCU, I'm playing games and I'm getting frame drops. I'm getting whatever it is due to whatever the reason is. I mean, I got fiber internet. I'm pretty good as far as like internet goes, but I still get drop frames or just skipping animations and stuff like that. But with PlayStation Now, I was playing it, man, it's really clean. It's pretty clean. Like I have not witnessed it, like hand on the Bible, I haven't witnessed anything. So they are definitely improving that, and especially to play PS5 games. I mean, that's just going to make the PS5, those exclusives, even stronger as far as developing it. And if they did that with Ratchet and Clank, like if they're doing that now with Ratchet and Clank that's coming out, I mean, just imagine, as they continue to tap into the power of the PS5.
Interesting. What about you?
Well, guys, I just got to keep it real. I mean, there's some PlayStation Now games that my jaw just hits the ground, and I'm just like, ah. But there is just being honest, there is some games that are not as perfect, and still I see some flaws in it. But the majority of the games, like when I was playing the wrestling game, was just amazing. Playing Wreckfest is awesome. So there's, I mean, I know they're still working on it, but guys, this is an investment. They're working on the future. So somebody, like, a lot of people think this stuff is going to happen overnight. It's not. It's not going to happen overnight. They're building towards the future, and this is all stuff that's like that. Like maybe, who knows? Maybe in a couple of years, 3 years, we're gonna reap the benefits of it and see all the amazing qualities and all this really special features and everything. And what Dr. Space said about the controller, man, I mean, a controller, when I have that controller in my hand, it's just something about it, and feeling the buttons and everything, and you can feel it, the motions and stuff when you're hitting and shooting and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the future.
Developers doing play testing is free. It's free data for PlayStation to go back and say, here's what's working, here's what's not. And especially for games that aren't designed to be on that service. So to be fair, I would have, and this is, let me put a caveat on this. This is me without knowing where their tech is or where they believe their tech is. Most of the games that are on there right now aren't PlayStation 5 games. In fact, I don't think there's any, right, that I am aware of that they've got that fall into. Meaning it's something that's out that's on the PlayStation 5, but it's also on the PS4, like a new release.
Yeah, all the games at the moment on PS Now are PS4 versions at top, some PS3 and PS2.
Okay. So that's what I was trying to get at. So their intent is to use the older titles for that. So the fact that they're using newer games to play test gives them that data for when they do start moving in that direction. It's going to make it easier for them. So I think it's awesome. And I also think that I've heard several people speak about how well the service performs. And the one thing that is true with cloud gaming now is that It really depends on where you live. It depends on how close to a data center you are. There are so many variables with cloud. It is not a perfect science. One service might work great for you where you live, and for somebody else, it's terrible for them. And vice versa. It could be completely reversed the other direction. So it really just depends on that. It depends on your router, your modem. There's so many different components. It's insane.
Yeah.
I have to say when I finally got fiber internet, it was like night like
I'm so
bruh,
jealous.
bruh. Let me tell you something. As soon as the guy says, "Okay, Mr. Sherrod, go check it out," and I checked it out, it was like it is because when I was playing Stadia, dude, my connections, it was embarrassing streaming and seeing that red,
Yeah.
and then you just drop. I would play games and you would just drop, and that was like PlayStation Now. When I was playing PlayStation Now, it was horrible. But now when I hop on and play, it's like, oh my god, man, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I have three stories with Stadia and internet connections. Like, so when it first came out, I was stationed in Japan, and I used a VPN to play Stadia in a freaking hotel that not great speeds, right? And I was able to play Tomb Raider. I was like, oh, for a little bit. And I got it to work like maybe twice. And I was like, oh, I can do this, and I can't wait to get back to the States and try it. So I get back to the States, but I'm in the middle of moving. I'm getting ready to move out to California, but I go back to Washington, and I'm like, okay, but I'm in the middle of nowhere in Washington, so I'm like on the island, and so I'm playing Stadia. And I'm like, okay, this is a little bit better. I'm using like some hotspot, and I'm playing Stadia, and it works, and Doom is running great. I'm like, all right, this is great. Can't wait to get over to California, get some fiber internet, see how Stadia runs. So now I'm in California, fiber, good to go. State amazing, perfect. I'm like, okay, this is cloud gaming right here. Everything like that. And like I said, and then when I popped in PlayStation Now, because I didn't try it like when it first came out. I'm like, man, that's a crappy service written games. Like, I don't know nothing about that. But I was like, all right, let me give this a shot. And then it's just like, man, like perfect. You know, but you're right. It just depends on where you are, how good your internet is, and whatnot.
That's awesome. So, just wanted to read the line. I finally found it. It's towards the end of the article. By the way, it's so they talk about adjusting for the pandemic, and the way it brought it's like for the audio, Guerrilla shipped recording booths to the voice actors' homes. Performance capture was tougher since they couldn't use its usual facilities in California. But last summer, the studio moved into a new Amsterdam space. They designed to have motion capture stage. That plus some very careful hygiene allowed them to get what they needed. And the play testing, well, it's a good thing Sony had invested in cloud gaming for its streaming service, PlayStation Now. Seeing that first play test using PlayStation was a huge relief, said Smets, knowing that, okay, great, we can continue. So they actually relied on PS Now. Just wanted to confirm, there was a few messages in the chat. Is my microphone still cutting, or it's good now?
No,
No,
you
you're
sound
good now,
good
man.
now.
This sounds good now.
Okay, so it's really when sharing my screen,
I
breaks
think
up
when you were
everything.
sharing your article,
Yeah.
that's when you was going underwater.
Okay, I guess we're not going to share our article for today until that's resolved. So that's great. And also something else in the article. There's 25 titles that they're working right now, first-party titles at PlayStation from their own studios. Half of them are brand new IP. So, yeah, according to Herman Holst, that's the guy in charge of the PlayStation Studio. Jim Ryan tapped the lead PlayStation Studios in 2019. The group has more than 25 titles in development for the PS5, nearly half of which are entirely new IP. So those are not third-party studios or even second-party studios. So other studios that are tapped by PlayStation in-house. That's PlayStation's very own studios that belongs to them. Studios like Insomniac that Sony bought in 2019, for example, or Naughty Dog that they bought a while ago. So studios that belong to PlayStation and that are part of PlayStation Studios are making at the moment over 25 titles for the PS5, and half of them are brand new IPs. The other half of them could have SOCOM. We don't know. So yeah, that's pretty exciting news. That's a big drop that came out today, that article. So a lot of stuff they talk about it. I definitely recommend it. It's from Wired. So yeah, written by Peter Rubin. So definitely recommend. It's a good read. So anything else you guys want to add on this?
No.
Excellent. Just keeping up with the chat.
Rick Tone in the
Oh,
house.
shout out to my boss man Rick Tone,
Rick
my other
Tone.
boss.
Hey, what's going on, Rick Tone?
People don't say it enough, but so to JD for serving in the military. Thank you, brother.
Yep. No worries. Thank you.
And yeah, we got Rick Tone in the house. Hey, people. Good to see you, man. Always happy to see you around. My one-stop shop for PlayStation news. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna keep using that software. There's a few things I don't like about it. So it was a tryout. Melon works great, but there's some hiccups. So well, I guess we're gonna be back either to StreamYard or anyway, details.
Yeah.
So going forward, in the news, well, I guess I'm not gonna be sharing the screen, but Days of Play are coming back for PlayStation.
Bro.
Big news. So that's an event that you can register yourself in, and they record basically how much everyone plays, trophies you gain, and all that. And as milestones are reached, you get rewards for that. So new avatars and all of that.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty exciting news. It's trying to get the community into gaming to achieve some objectives. Very fun move that they're bringing this back. So what do you guys think on this? Are you participating?
Yep. I'm already signed up.
You know what? I don't know if you're gonna add it to the. You're probably gonna talk about it, but I got excited when I saw that. But I also saw the discounts.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
400 discounts.
Yeah.
So
Lots
that's
of
what,
games.
That's what,
Yeah.
and I mean, look at their under. I think under what, $14, $15.
Mhm.
Holy crap, man! I
Mhm.
mean, there's some games that I haven't even played that you can scoop up for nothing. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you've
and
also got. Oh, go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
No, oh, and of course, most of them PS4 games, guys.
PS5s.
It's the bread and butter right now. PS5
Yeah.
is on its way in, but there's a lot of PS4 going around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me,
I was just gonna say that they also do the free online multiplayer weekend as well, which I always think is a great thing. You know, some folks are not always willing to jump into PlayStation Plus, and it kind of gives them that initial kind of idea of what's behind it and the reason to have it. So I think that's also great about it too.
yeah.
That's what got my butt in it. That's what got me into it.
Yep.
By the way, comment here from Rodella. Nothing wrong with playing last gen games, fellas. First, that's not wrong, and second, it's still PS4 is still current gen until next month when they drop Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. That's when next gen comes into play.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I play PS4 games on my PS5, and I love it playing with the new controller. And I even see a little boost in brightness and graphics and movement, in the games when I'm playing some of these games, and I'm like, wow. So
Right. I think the conversation, man, like, yeah, we all know we buy next gen consoles, whatever it is, PS6, Xbox 2X, whatever, we want that next gen game or those next gen games that's coming out on those systems. The ones going to spend all that money and not pick up the next Halo or the next Ratchet and
Right.
Clank, right? But don't just because that's we're going to do that in between time. There's a bunch of games you haven't played. There's a bunch of last gen games that you might want to pick up now. Yeah, you can play it on your next gen system. That's the whole conversation when people are like, oh, I don't buy new systems to play old games. Eventually, you do. In a sense, eventually there's going to be a game that you're waiting on, or if you're the type of person that's just you only stick to one genre of games, there might be a game that you're waiting on to come back. Yeah, you might go check out some older titles, on your new gen system or your next gen system. I mean,
But just to show the latest game I've been playing, like I can show, that's my PS4 screen. That's the game I've been playing lately, Ratchet and Clank. That's a PS2 game that's been upgraded to PS4. So classic games are always fun to go to.
One thing I was going to say is these systems also, they're moving towards trying to put attention and love towards some of these games and give them, like, you have, I know we're talking about PlayStation here, but you've got things like FPS boost and you've got other attributes that these systems are doing where they're making the games that we all have loved in the past become brand new experiences today. Like playing them in a way that you never would have imagined playing them before. So you absolutely have to love what's come before to love what is today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I totally agree, man. It blows me away that some of these games that I used to play on my PS4, I'm playing in the cloud.
Yeah.
1080p, folks. Okay, I can play on my computer, I can play on my TV, and just enjoy it. It's amazing. It's amazing. And multiplayer. You can play it multiplayer.
And PS Now feels just like having a PlayStation 4 connected to your, like if you're playing on PC, legit feels like playing a PS4. There's no latency, quality, like it's 1080p, it looks great. So with all the improvements they've made, it's a wonderful way of playing those games.
Yeah. You know what's cool? You don't have to mess with any CDs or anything. You just click. Man, you just look, quick game, get out, go to the next game. Quick game, go to the next game and play, man. I think that's the
I promise I won't take up too much. I just have to say this real quick, just very quickly. My wife and I were having this conversation a couple days ago. Ray, it's funny you brought that up because I literally remember the first dog that we had at my parents' house. Literally, I left a disc out and the dog completely bit it and it completely destroyed. I was like, oh my god! And that was before they had the protection plans at GameStop, so you were done.
Bro, where the hell?
You
gotta buy a whole brand new game.
Yeah, you gotta break. They ain't taking that back.
Nope, they sure hell ain't.
They ain't taking that back. And then also, hey, look, I like to keep reminding people about remote play because that gets lost with PS Now because it's not up under PS Now. Oh, I see you, Ray.
You see that? You see that? My son. I heard him crack. I said, hey, tell me you did not sit your ass on my Mortal Kombat.
Did you go all river dance on your Mortal Kombat?
Right.
Bro, look at this. He said it. Look. He said the game cracked. He set his ass on my game and cracked my game, man. But luckily, guys, you can play it digital or on the cloud.
Digitally on the cloud. That's why I went in all digital, man. I didn't want to deal with I'm military again. I don't want to deal with moving and packing and going places and packing all these discs and they get broke and all this stuff. I'm just like, man, I'm just all digital. I can bring my console with me and it's on there digital. Just download,
I didn't fall.
Yeah. Really sad on it. But yeah, remote play. Look, it's not a part of PS Now, but if you want to play your PS5 games away from your PS5, remote play is there, and it works. It really works.
That's another news that came out, by the way. Remote play now works with DualSense on Apple devices starting this week. So you cannot use the DualSense on PS Now yet, even though the dev seems to be doing it because they needed to test those PS5 games that they're playing, and it's really PS Now. They're not using remote play for testing the game. You're using the PS Now infrastructure because it's more adapted to cloud gaming. But remote play now works with the DualSense on Apple devices. Also works on
Yeah.
PC. I've used it. Works without any problem. But for Apple, it's now compatible.
That's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I need it on Android. Come on. Come on, my Pixel.
It's hey, bruh, I'm telling you, it's coming, man. Look at all that money they spending, man. All that money they spending on that technology. You need it.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's good. So
That's awesome.
there's also been some interesting article. Lately, Sony's been pushing around all kind of articles detailing different part of their PlayStation 5, boasting the technology and all that. And some of it has been about the 3D audio that they talked about this week. And they're really pushing it forward. Like Returnal, for example, like apparently you can hear the raindrops everywhere, and you can actually feel them in the controller. And so you can feel some raindrop going through your controller because of micro vibration that are all over the place. But 3D audio that's baked into the PlayStation PS5, it's really like it's phenomenal. Like playing Spider-Man with it, it's amazing. I know JD, you got the same headset as me. If you can share a bit on your experience.
Yeah, man. The headset is really, really nice, and I didn't think it was gonna. I don't really go for like headsets for real. I don't really think they're doing that much. But when I upgraded from the PlayStation Golds from the PS4 ones, and I got these, I was like, wow, they really outdid themselves with these headsets. It's just comfortable. I can hear all the audio. I don't have to pay like on other services to Dolby and all these other features for 3D sound and get all this stuff. They're just making it built right in. And yeah, I've been playing Returnal. I can hear everything. Like you said, everything you read is
That is something.
Got to get it.
That is something I quite don't understand. Dolby, you have to pay a subscription. Like I know, like the Xbox wireless headset, both it came with a like Dolby sound and all that. It's like, oh, that's Dolby Atmos.
Yeah,
It's like
Dolby
that's
Atmos,
interesting.
yeah.
And when I got them, I saw like, okay, it's an activation code to get a subscription. Why do you get a subscription for 3D sound that's baked into the games?
Yeah.
It's because it's Dolby. I mean, you're paying for the name. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I think what's interesting to me about this specific topic is that it's a feature set that Sony developed in house to implement within the platform without depending on a third party, which I think is pretty cool, and they deserve a huge amount of applause and kudos for doing that, because now who benefits? The consumer. To your point, you get that included. You don't have to pay this extra fee from a third party that's that's providing the support to that. It's a complete contrast of two situations there.
Yeah.
It's the thing. Oh yeah, go ahead, Ray.
I mean, I know you guys are all about the sound, man. I'm all about the graphics, man. When I was playing Resident Evil 8, I mean, do you see the wood stain on the wood and all the just, I mean, you feel like you're in an old European village. I mean, and then as soon as I plug the game in and say, hey, you want that HDR? It's like, yeah, I sure do. And you get to see the 4K and everything. It's like, man, it's beautiful. So I hear what you guys talking about the sound, but man, like graphic wise, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
I gotta have good sound, man. Gotta have good sound.
Yeah, and to Chase's point, I said this in the Waypoint podcast is, hey, PlayStation is like an Apple experience in creating products in house, getting the sound, getting the controller, getting all these patents, and making their first party, second party studios strong and incorporating all these feature sets to have like this experience to keep you in the ecosystem, to try to keep you there. Whereas everybody else is relying on third party, to do something extra with accessories or whatever it is, sound quality, whatever it is. They're relying a lot heavily on third parties like Android in that sense of the matter. So a lot of people lost me there when I compared PlayStation to like an Apple ecosystem, because that's the kind of experience that they're really trying to sell the consumers is, hey, we have great exclusives. These exclusives are getting great support from our controller and our audio teams, and this is just a complete like home theater movie, whatever. PlayStation, they did rebranding PlayStation Studios like Marvel. This is an experience. The whole platform in and of itself is in-house experience. So, yeah.
But that's the thing that bugs me. Come back to Dolby Atmos versus the 3D audio of the PlayStation 5, because you don't need, like, these are the Pulse 3D headset. You don't need those to get a 3D audio on the PS5. If you have any headset that's compatible with 3D audio, you can connect them on the controller and you get 3D audio. Like I've got, and I don't know where it is. It's actually here. I got these here. So those are Bluetooth headset I can connect with a wire and all that. Hooked it up in the controller. You can go into settings and adjust like the 3D settings to have at what height, depending on how your ear is shaped. You can do all these settings, and you hear it with this. It's compatible with the 3D audio of the PlayStation 5.
I'm about to go in my settings after the show. I'm about to because I didn't do that. I didn't do that, Doc. I didn't do that, so I got to do that.
Yeah, it's really to shape it around your ears as to what you normally hear, what you should hear, and you get to experience each settings, and it gives you like a pink sound.
Right.
Okay, that's what's going on. Okay, I want it at that height and all that. So the PlayStation 5 gives you that, but what bugs me is, like with Dolby Atmos, they make the game with the 3D sound. It's all in the game. And whether or not you're paying a subscription, it just activates that or deactivates that feature. They're not providing another feature. And it's like that's on top of, like, if you got an Xbox and you want the 3D sound and all that you're going to get like Xbox Live. If you want to play a live game, games on multiplayer, then you need Dolby Atmos. And if you want Game Pass, then you end up with one system for gaming that you get so many subscription, but the Dolby Atmos is just giving you the 3D audio. It's kind of, I find it weird. So that they would provide a service, but just to activate a feature that's built into the game. So what do you guys think?
Got the chat going on fire about this too.
I will say this though, just to give another contrasting viewpoint on it. Some games, to be fair, depending on the developer, the sound may already be at a good spot anyway. So I talk about this game a lot. I'm not just trying to like constantly highlight it, but it's because this specific developer has done such a great job with the quality of life on it, and that's Hi-Res with Rogue Company. Is the sound quality in that game is so good with the footsteps, the spatial sound. It's as good as a lot of the 3D audio that you get from some of these platforms as it stands today. So it can be a situation where a developer can themselves provide that experience. And I really hope going forward, to this point, is that Sony should be applauded for doing this because it's awesome, and I think it's great, and I think it's awesome that they're not passing on that cost to the consumer. But I also hope that developers start to implement this as more of a kind of a must-have in their games, so that we don't have situations like Warzone. And if you've played Warzone, you'll know my point.
I haven't really touched. I tried like one round in Warzone the other day, so I'm not too familiar
Well,
with it.
you're probably in a good place there, Doctor, because if you had, you might have shut the TV off. I'll tell you.
I did try one round. It's like, okay, maybe not for me. Uh, one-time fee and does go on sale from time to time. Okay, it's a one-time fee, or I thought it was a subscription because you when you get the headset from the Xbox, you get it for free for like 6 months.
You can do it in where you pay it. I can't remember what the increments are, but there's also where you can just pay it outright and just get the license. So I still agree with you all. I'm not a big fan of that, only because again it's an additional cost that's onto a consumer. But it's Dolby. I understand it. It doesn't mean I think it's the best move, but you're paying for the name. It's just like if you walk down to a Best Buy and you have the option between a Vizio TV and a Sony. Well, you're going to pay a premium for the Sony TV. So,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
I agree.
So, other bit of news: Sony is in one of their studios, Japan Studios, that's been doing basically the Demon Souls game and a bunch of other games. Some of their work actually was going to contractors outside of the studio, and they're actually using XDev now to bolster the studio to try to keep as much as possible development in house, which is I find it very interesting for the studio themselves, because I don't know if you ever worked with contractors before in like any of you guys' jobs. It gets very complicated when it's not within your own company, because even if it's another building, another organization, if it's still under the same like ownership, the same company, you call them, you say you need the job done, they get on it, and then if there's any paperwork like for budget, it gets taken care of after. If you're working with contractors, every time you call them costs money. You say you want something, they submit, okay, can we budget for that? It goes to accounting, and then they do, okay, no, try to cut it for 1/3 of the price. Then the contractor is going to say, okay, well, we already studied for what you do, so we're going to do another submission. We can do this, but you're only getting this far, and it gets really complicated. So personally, seeing that news, it's like, oh, Sony doing something right with their studios. They were sorting stuff out. People panicked not too long ago. People actually thought, like reporters were saying that Japan studio was shutting down, which is one of the staples of PlayStation. But they were not shutting it down. They were reorganizing it. They were bundling up with a Sobi, which is a studio that did the Playroom on the PS5.
Yeah,
Astro's Playroom, yeah.
And the VR, yep.
Yep.
It's a studio that does excellent work. They've been mostly doing technical demos for their hardware for PlayStation. So they're bolstering the studios together to make a bigger studio, so they can cooperate together. And because of that, I believe they had to move the location from one place to the other, and some of the devs actually quit because they didn't want to be relocated, and a whole lot of stuff happened. But now they're using some other studios to bolster their power. So they're making bigger studios out of the studios they have, which is interesting. If you also look at, for example, Returnal that just came out from Housemarque, that studio used to be very small. They used to make indie games, and now it's their first AAA games, and they've been doing all that on their PlayStation. If I'm not mistaken, though, Housemarque doesn't belong to Sony, but they've been working very closely with them, doing a lot of exclusives.
Yep.
So it's interesting development in their the studios they're working, both in the house and outside. So I don't know if you guys had anything to add on this.
Could you see Sony picking them up? Because they got a hit. They created a hit. Everybody loves that game.
You're talking about Housemarque and Returnal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would see that happen. What about you, Chase?
They may. I I think that story is still something to really watch, though, because
Yeah.
I'm talking about what you're talking about a moment ago about them shifting their strategy from the smaller studios and investing in the AAAs, which let me just say this right off the top. That has been Sony's focus for a long time, is on the AAA games. That doesn't surprise me. But there has been some internal there's been some internal
Turmoil.
turmoil is the right term, yeah, and in a couple different divisions. So I don't think that story is done yet. And I know some people just kind of said, well, why are they making a big deal out of this? Because they're already investing in the big games that everybody wants anyway. So why is this a big deal? Well, if your internal studios aren't happy with the direction that you're going and they were promised something, well, that's not great. So it's a story to follow. I don't think it's an end-all be-all situation, but it is good to hear that, like you said, that they are reallocating some of those resources in a way that I think is productive for the company. But I do think this is a story to still watch very closely.
Yeah,
100%.
I agree with Chase.
I agree.
I agree.
That's good. Okay, there's Anders in the chat. Good to see you. Who brought a very interesting point. Some news that came out, some rumors that came out this week that are extremely interesting. I actually got the article. It was the next article I was coming to. PlayStation VR leaks saying that it's going to be resolution is 4,000 by 2040 per eye.
Wow.
So 4K VR. That's huge.
Say the resolution again one more time for everybody that didn't have the volume turned all the way up.
So PSVR 2 so that's coming out for PlayStation 5. The rumors saying the pixel count. So 4,000 pixels by 2040 pixels for VR.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Melt your eyes off your face, man. That's what that is.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a lot of pixel 1 inch from your eyes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me because Sony has the 4K phone, mobile phone.
That's gonna be the biggest, like the screen with the most PPI ever, pixel per inch. That's 4K in the screen that small.
Dude, there's got to be some kind of warning.
I got it.
Waivers.
I was gonna say,
your own risk.
For words.
Waivers.
I gotta know what the stability is on this, because as it stands with VR already, man, like you got people getting extremely ill. So I mean, can you imagine if you don't have the frames like in a concurrent manner, where like if something's off by just even a millisecond can make someone get extremely sick.
Have you tried the first generation of PSVR, Chase, by the way?
Yes.
PlayStation had the reputation of being the best VR on the market because they had a lower resolution a bit, but they were the ones with the best latency. So
yeah, I still got sick though. I mean,
I got
Some people
when Daddy was chasing me through the house on Resident Evil 7, I got sick, man. I got sick. Roller coaster, I got sick. I actually ran to the bathroom and threw up, man. But GameStop, man, they sold these bands that you can wear. Guess what? I still got sick.
By the way, I just want to say hi to Cloud Gaming Extreme in the chat, and also popped up Eddie Player One. How you doing, man? One more time for the people in the back. Yeah, so that's 8K. Yeah.
Bro, I can't. I'm too old for that, man. My eyes.
I'm sick of you guys complaining.
I'm too old. There's no way I could get a headset like that. Man.
My eyes can't take it no more.
Yeah, I'm like, come on.
You want to know what I'm using for streaming? You mean for my camera or for the whole software? It's on Melon right now, and I'm using OBS for my camera, virtual camera.
DrSpaceman got that 8K camera. He don't want to let nobody know. That's what that is.
No, it's actually a 4K camera set at 1080p at the moment. It's my cell phone.
Nice.
He's being humble, everybody. He's being humble.
Good. And
the
Naughty
wife is
Dog
home.
celebrating Uncharted. What?
I said a wife just walked in, so
Oh yeah,
watching.
it's trouble time towards the end.
all right. I still got. I'm looking at my tokens are okay. I still got a couple. I'm
It's like the lady in Resident Evil. You have to watch out for her and run away.
We gotta notify Ray. Hey, Rife's in the back.
So, Naughty Dog celebrating Uncharted 4's 5th anniversary.
yeah.
And announcing the game has had more than 37 million players. 37 million players logged in Uncharted 4. Not Uncharted altogether, Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not a lot of games can, like, here we're talking about offline games with a story mode that you have to play, like, beginning to end. That type of game generally is less popular, get less public in. 37 million players have played that game. That's rare to have that many players play a game like that. So it really shows pays testament to the quality of the games that PlayStation have been making within their first party studios.
Yeah.
You were gonna say, Ray?
It's got a cult follow. I mean, there's a lot of people that love that game. You know, I got some friends that love playing those games, and you know, they're exclusives, man. You know,
I mean, when you think of Sony, though, you think of the big franchises. You think of Uncharted. You think of God of War. You think of SOCOM, which we talked about earlier in the show. They have been at the forefront of. I think it's honest to say they've had some of the better exclusives over the previous generations, and it's such a popular title. What's happening now? You have a movie being made about it, so
yes.
it speaks to what Sony has done in creating really good, compelling not just games, but stories that pull us into the game, which I think is impressive.
And even just shifting that genre of games, because Tomb Raider was on top of that, and Uncharted came and took the throne from Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider is copying off of Uncharted, and so even that's a part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Good shout.
Yeah, and Rodella here is saying, like, let's put that 37 million in perspective. Division 2 has 40 million players, but on all platforms.
Yeah.
So Division 2 is extremely popular. It's a very successful franchise. Got 40 million players subscribing, but that's on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and now they're going up to the new system, but we're not double counting these. And then you got PC as well that's got that. And what else? There's something else I'm forgetting. Well, there was Stadia that's got maybe a few 100,000. Let's not go into numbers. But aren't I forgetting another system that Division 2 is on? It's mainly like those three that would count for millions. But it's still divided up.
Unless you're thinking about Luna. I mean, that would be another one.
Yeah, it's on Luna.
Another few thousands, if even.
I mean,
but
look at this. I just had to type it out because, I like to mess with Rodella. Halo the Master Chief Collection has been played by over 10 million players on PC since its launch on both Steam and Xbox Game Pass for PC.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking 10 million on three platforms, two platforms, whatever, versus one platform.
37 million.
With 37 million.
Let me point something out. I just, like, it's just popped into my head when we were talking about this.
Yeah.
Halo started us going in the direction of because it is one of the originals of multiplayer games from the original
Yes.
Xbox.
Yeah.
But what Sony did is they took that success and took it to the direction of, we have players that are growing up and are going into more of that direction of a mature gamer, and they've met them in the middle all the way through these generations, and that's, I think, why you've seen them be so successful, is because they focused on that side of the house when it came to the game development, and again, the stories, and selling the system as an entertainment device versus it being just a gaming device, which is what a lot of people, I know you said that earlier on, Doctor, but that's why a lot of people gravitated towards all of those systems.
Yeah, and that's why we're seeing right now, like, they're about to release a movie with Tom Holland, very successful actor right now with Spider-Man movies. That's backed up by Mark Wahlberg, and there's some very impressive actors on that set. I can't remember everyone, but some I was extremely surprised to learn were part of the movie. So it's a bunch of A-listers part of that movie. It's coming out soon, and a lot of people are talking about it. And it might actually be the new Indiana Jones, or not want to say that it's going to replace it, but it's going to be a big phenomenon once it comes out. So
be very careful. You're going to upset some people in the chat.
You gotta.
I'm a big Star Wars fan. Like, there was some stuff in the back. So George Lucas is
there he goes.
showing some geek stuff in there. That fell, but I got plenty of geek stuff that's Star Wars related. Not Indiana Jones for some reason, because there's not as much of it. But anyway, I would never try to upset anything George Lucas did, because he's the man.
There is an Indiana Jones movie coming out too.
Yep, there is. But yeah, Uncharted movie coming out soon, and it's looking very interesting. Like what they've been doing on the set, the word that's been coming out, like it's coming along very well, and it shows that the games have been a success. You play those games, it looks like you're watching a movie at times. So. Oh yeah, and Rodella, yeah, I didn't interpret it as a slight towards Uncharted. I understood what you mentioned. I just wanted to put an emphasis on this, that it's really impressive. 37 million on one console on the PS4 for that title.
Wasn't Apex in the news for something that they were talking about at an investor conference? They were talking about Apex and what they did.
Yeah.
I heard some news about that, which shocked me. You know, I mean, I remember in the beginning, I used to play a lot of Apex, and then I kind of moved on.
EA's done a better job recently of giving that game some quality of life updates and kind of just continuing to invest in it, and that's why it's starting to show some results on the financial side.
Okay.
Yeah, they have more than 100 million players. That was the latest news article.
That's big.
Thank you, JD.
Yep.
But that's the game as a service. It's being very popular right now, and it's not surprising to see Apex with that kind of number. It's really impressive, but not surprising, because you see other games like Fortnite, they clock in really high numbers similar to that, and pretty much all of those battle royales, game as a service, and all of that. So it's going really well, and we were talking about PlayStation exclusives a moment ago. Another news came out this week that's really weird, and well, it's again something that's not surprising given everything that happened lately. Epic has offered $200 million to Sony to get a PlayStation exclusives in the Epic Game Store.
Sweetie.
Yeah, it's the let's try to buy everything and make our stuff running. Did you hear about that before, Chase?
I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to try to be as balanced, because I am not a fan of Epic, but I'm not surprised by it, and I actually think if Sony was smart, their games being on more ecosystems, because they've started doing more of putting their games on PC as well, is actually, and that is in part dealing with Epic Game Store, but it makes a lot of sense for them and their business model, and it makes sense for them to make money. I think this goes completely against the narrative that Epic tries to portray, that they're out for the good of the player. They're out for the good of themselves.
Yeah.
And they're out for making as much money as they can. And
They want the players good, all of it.
yeah, I struggle anytime I see them in the news after, you know, they've said some of the things that they've said publicly. But again, to keep it solely on just the Sony side of it and to keep it balanced, I think it's actually a good thing for Sony. Because again, the more places you have your games, the more money that you can bring in, the more exposure you have to a new audience, which eventually, and again, this brings it back to the full circle to the cloud, is you won't need a PlayStation system in your home at some point to play some of these games. So the more opportunities they have to get out to more players, the better for them in the long run.
But we can already see like
Days gone.
Horizon Zero Dawn is now on PC. Is it on the Epic Game Store or is it on Steam? I think it's on Epic.
I think it's on Epic.
I might actually have come down from that discussion, but that's a game that's also on PS Now, so you can already play it on PC through PlayStation Now, the PlayStation 4 version. So kind of makes sense for Sony to extend a game that would already be available on PC through their own system. Say, yeah, you want to get our games, like you can have that one. We already got it on PC, put it on PC as well, and we're good. But what's interesting, like I know I've seen Project Storm stream the other day, that same game running through his 3080 RTX 3080 looked fantastic. But the sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, is not announced on PC. That's a PlayStation 5 game. It'll remain on PlayStation 5 for a while, most probably. So with them doing that, extending that game towards PC gamers, kind of is a good strategy to lure them in. So
yeah, I don't see. I mean, they can do whatever, but I feel like their strategy right now, which can change at any time, is the newer exclusives, PlayStation exclusives for probably like a year, 6 months to a year, or something like that. Maybe even longer, depending on how fast they're selling them. And then once they get money off of that, throw it on the PC, make some extra cash. That's kind of what I see their strategy is.
yeah, Days Gone is also on Epic. Okay, no, it's an interesting moves that are going on, and Sony knows their business. They're at the top for a reason. Like they do some misstep once in a while, it does happen, but a lot of the stuff they do is like they've done some impressive moves, and some that were questioned in the beginning, but happened to pay out in the end. And we got Chariot Man Gaming in the chat.
Hey.
What's up, everybody? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, man, what's up?
So now, it'll be something interesting to see if they actually start bringing more games to Epic. But I doubt we'll see day-and-date games. The exclusives will stay exclusive to PlayStation, at least for a good amount of time.
That's exactly what I was going to say to what JD said. Is it's all about if they're games that are just going to sit there and maybe aren't going to bring in any revenue. Again, it's a dual strategy. Make a little bit more money and get more players, to be aware of what content you have, where they might eventually say, you know what, I want to get more of their games. And as they start moving towards cloud and they make it easier to get into their ecosystem, maybe they'll choose us as a potential option, for a little bit. So
speaking of PlayStation branching out, like I know we already talked about it not too long ago, but MLB The Show going to Game Pass. We know that it was MLB themselves. Like they now have a publishing house, and they're the ones who did the deal to bring the game over to Game Pass. How much do you think Sony's getting out of that deal? And don't think they're getting much. I think MLB did that just to get MLB in more people's hand for MLB purposes and not for gaming purposes. That's the feeling I'm getting. So I don't think it was a huge gaming negotiation, much more than the brand. So we have no details on what the payout was, if Sony's getting anything at all out of this. Do you guys have any opinion on this you want to share, or?
I think I saw in the news somewhere that it still sold numbers on PlayStation.
Yeah, I got 5 home runs last night. All right, I beat the Seattle Mariners. I'm having a blast, folks. Playing it. It actually played pretty well. I'm playing it on my the xCloud browser. So, but dude, I mean, I think it's great to get the game out there. Just like the same thing Sony's trying to do with Epic. You know, get the game out there. Exactly what Chase said. Because people experience this game. Wow, this is what they got. This is the quality. This is the game. You know what? Let me try some of their products out. So, yeah.
So I completely messed up on this one. It's funny that you brought this up because Ash's talk about throwing me under the bus. He completely did it on our Cloud Gaming Unfiltered podcast. But so this game actually went out of contract, which is why it made its way over to Xbox. I doubt that Sony, with that, knowing that piece now, I doubt they got. If they did get anything, it probably, like you said, Doctor, it probably wasn't a lot. This was all a move orchestrated by, like you said, MLB, because the contract was ending, and because of that, they wanted it to go out to more platforms. They publicly stated that. So because it wasn't still in an exclusive environment, I don't know what Sony benefits from on it. And I made the mistake of saying, oh, it's exclusive still, so somehow money had to have exchanged hands here in order for this to happen. But in reality, it's that the contract was expiring for this year, and because of that, they wanted to get it on more platforms.
Yeah, I think MLB did a dirty to Sony with that. Oh, we got somebody else joining us. Stadia Vet. What? You're all the way in Romania?
Where are you?
Good to see you, Vet.
Like Chase is lost it.
Hey man, I think I see your butler behind you, bringing out a tray or something behind you.
It might be that lady from Resident Evil. I don't know.
Oh man,
that's interesting.
Oh,
yeah,
I gotta get caught up. I don't even know what's been going on.
We were having a big discussion about MLB, but I totally think the person at MLB didn't really care about what Sony was thinking, what Sony was getting out of this. I don't even know if MLB themselves are making money out of the deal. They probably said, okay, you want a game on Game Pass? We're going to do it for pennies. Get the game on there, get a game in people's hand, get people excited about MLB, and let's do some promotion for MLB. So it's really, we don't know what the payout was, and it's really weird.
The girls are tired, so I'm gonna take them home.
Yeah. Really curious to see if the numbers ever pop up. So
I'm sure it will at some point. It'll probably just be a leaked document that somehow magically ends up on the internet. Like, that's what's going to happen.
Oh, man.
Anyone else wanted to add something on this?
Oh Lord, who invited this bum into the chat?
What's he doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Lady behind you. Other interesting news: Dirt 5 got crossplay in a free game update this week. That is crossplay needs, like, we're getting into the next gen right now. Like we said, like Ratchet and Clank is the start of the next gen. It's the first next gen coming out, but crossplay needs to be a new normal in the next gen. Any multiplayer games out there should have crossplay. We actually saw the news that Destiny 2 accidentally activated their crossplay.
What was it really an accident though? It was okay. I was really curious on that.
They're
So-
actually going to pull it out in a patch.
The community manager put out an update saying that somebody pressed the button when they shouldn't have pressed the button.
Whoops.
Leave the cowboy all alone. Lasso them, Anthony. I already lassoed Anthony. Speculation trolls. Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah,
That's a cowboy
What?
talking.
Speculation.
Especially,
somebody tell it to turn.
In not so good news, Sony expects the PS5 supply issue to continue into next year, 2022. I know there's a news that came out lately that they were thinking of changing the components. Like the processor right now is a 5 nanometer connector processor, which is very impressive. Just for those who don't understand what that is, basically the 5 nanometer represent the length of every single connection that you have for logic gates in a processor. So if you put it in perspective of you have many bits you have to connect together,
Wow.
and you put small hoses one to another to get water going all the way from one end to the other. The longer the hose, the longer it will take for your water to go from one end to the other. So it used to be like chips were 14 nanometer, and then they improved it to 12, 10, 9, and now the PlayStation 5 is 5 nanometer, which is a heck of a good spec for a machine. But because of the supply problems they've got in Taiwan right now, that the facilities are not able to catch up to the demand. And they had a problem with their production with COVID and all that. They were actually thinking of putting in a new chipset that is at 6 nanometer instead of 5 in order to make more production. And they try to catch up to that, basically that loss in other ways in the hardware. So they'll try to balance it out, but it might still end up in a bit of a loss of performance in the processor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that part. If there will be performance changes to the system, it should be minimal, but it might be a small performance change. You got something you want to say, Chase, on this?
I would be like, if I didn't say it, I don't know. I'd walk away from the podcast going, I should have brought this up. I wonder, and no proof. I'm just, it's more of a question. It's not me saying that this is what's happening, but AMD is hyper focused on their chipsets and their GPUs right now. Hyper focused on trying to get those out to consumers. And both consoles, Xbox and PlayStation, operate with AMD hardware.
Yep.
So I wonder if some of this has to do with that, because if you look at what's going on in the marketplace with GPUs, AMD is actually getting out GPUs and chips fairly well right now, like surprisingly well, like in a way that I don't think I would have expected. You know, when I've been watching Micro Center and a couple of these other box stores that are bringing in, you know, inventory. So it makes me wonder if maybe that has a little bit, again, more of a question, not me saying that that's what's happening. Is that playing into it? Is it not? And will they catch up to demand? Sony's got a good relationship with AMD. So does Microsoft. I'm sure they're like, listen, guys, you can't leave us out here. Please don't do it.
100%. I think that has an impact, but they're actually having problem producing TVs and cars because of that right now. Yeah. Even cars are not going out of factories because they don't have the chips for them anymore.
So bet you getting
Well,
the chip, or you getting the one that's out right now? What's up?
it's still, hey, I tried. I followed all your guys' links. They were sold out before I could even get it. I've just given up on the PS5 right now. I'm just gonna wait. I'll wait till the redesign comes out next year.
The one with 2 GPUs.
Sure, whatever that I probably still won't be able to get.
Because that's one of the patents that came out for the PlayStation 5. They want to do the PlayStation 5 Pro, which it already has an RDNA 2 GPU in it, which is very impressive. And they want to do the PS5 Pro with 2 GPUs in it. So,
well, as long as it doesn't get the, have the semiconductor issue, I'll take whatever they give me.
that RDNA 1.5 is already, it's not RDNA 1.5, it's RDNA 2. It's been confirmed. It's some engineering talks that's been going around on the internet that they've been going at each other. It's RDNA 2. So, yep. So, not looking good for in terms of hardware. But if we come back to another news we talked about earlier, that they now started testing PlayStation 5 games on PlayStation Now for the devs. That's another easy solution. You're now talking about basically server grade hardware that you can put in and put your PlayStation. And you're putting PlayStation 5 games on there. And we know PlayStation Now right now is capped at 1080p. So they could put not exactly the same hardware that the PlayStation 5 is using, while still keeping the specs of the SSD and all of that, and run an adapted version of the PS5 games capped at 1080p and still give consumers the experience. And we also know there's a DualSense Wi-Fi model that's been patented like a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some solutions out there for people who cannot get their hands on the hardware.
Well, I thought of that as well when they started having the issue, the semiconductor issue with everything that was out. I was like, cloud is a solution that could solve that until you come up with another solution to fix the problem. I mean, I don't know what they can do to fix the shortage, but I was like, you could, I'm sure cloud could somehow solve this one way or another.
By the way, just notice a link in the chat. How you doing, Link? Good to see you.
Right.
But yeah, there's a bunch of solutions available, but cloud gaming is certainly a solid one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. People will flip their lid if they have to play a PS5 game in only 1080p. Not necessarily. If you can get the hardware to play in 4K, it's still the incentive. You get the hardware, you get to play in 4K. But if you can still play the same games in the cloud with the DualSense, you feel everything at 1080p. In the meantime,
they do a dynamically upscaled 4K. I mean, or something that gives it the. I mean, I don't know if that would even appeal. I'm sure there'll be people that will want 4K, but I mean, realistically,
man, let me tell you something, man. People play PS5 games in the cloud. They'll be happy.
That's what I was getting at. That's what I was going to say. Was like, are you really going to be that picky about 4K, or are you just going to be able? Are you going to be the one that brags that I'm playing a PS5 game in the cloud?
Can you bring up Anders' comment though? This is exactly what I was about to say. That one thing that we all have to remember is that these server farms require hardware. Yep. So if there's a shortage in what we're experiencing with trying to get a console, that doesn't not extend to server blades. So it's you're kind of dealing with a situation where it's going to be an issue on both sides. It all comes down to prioritization. And that's why I brought up about AMD prioritizing their CPUs and their GPUs. Where's AMD's priorities lie right now? Well, it's probably going to be on selling their CPUs and selling their GPUs versus the consoles, unless somebody writes a check. And then you start seeing prioritization go the other direction. So I think it's just going to be very interesting to watch over the next 6 to 10 months about this, because I don't think the story's done yet. And that's why I was asking the question earlier, is more of a, let me ask this question out in the open because
Right.
it's an interesting one to think about.
But guys, this is bigger than gaming though, man. You got to drive a car, you got to fly a
Yeah.
plane, you got machines that run companies. You know, there's a lot that is more important than gaming. So, hey, gaming might have to take a back seat.
But for the cloud blades that basically on that subject, what I was saying earlier, that you could play the games at 1080p, that means that you might not need exactly the same specs. Like I was saying earlier, the processors at 5 nanometers, those require specific factories to make those, like with very high standards. But if you start making cloud gaming farms with not as good processors, but you're still applying the excellent technology they've been able to implement up to this point, and do an adapted version of the game at 1080p, performance is going to be reduced, yes, but you're still getting the game in people's hands. And over time, they're going to improve those cloud servers to match up the 4K quality. And also, if you buy your game in the cloud and you get your hand on the system, then you can do the install like exactly right now. You play PlayStation Now. I can actually bring it up. No, this one. So I got my PlayStation 5 right now here. If I go like Straight of Rage, it's there. I can stream it, and I can actually install it, the PlayStation version. I have to go in the store anyway. Just wanted to show it. So PlayStation Now, you can stream the games and you can install them on your device. And if you do the install, you get better quality. So the same will apply once if they were to do cloud purchases. Like don't remember who was talking about this earlier. It's actually I was chatting with Rock earlier that would be interesting to see Sony do a deal that if you buy the new Resident Evil on PlayStation, you get both the cloud version and the digital version at the same time. I think that's something that's going to happen eventually that will be very interesting.
I do like Anthony's comment. Not everyone likes the cloud. That's great. I mean, you don't have to like the cloud, and you can be one of the ones that sits and doesn't have a system too. Just sit and watch all your friends play games, whether it's in the cloud or on the console that they were able to get. And you can sit and play your Xbox 360 or your PlayStation 4 that you still got because you can't get a next gen system. I mean, that's all good. But we all know that cloud gaming is a thing now. It's not like it's going to just disappear. But you sit there and you play your Stadia and you play your Oh, that's right. You don't play PlayStation 4. I forgot about that. You're not a PlayStation guy. But you wouldn't understand anything about those console things like that.
But that's the thing. Just for the last point that Anthony is saying, that Sony is the best selling console of all time for a reason. General video game community isn't into the cloud like we are. But if you play on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation Now cloud gaming is baked into the system. Mm-hmm. Like I actually made it to the screen. Like I was saying earlier, you can hit download or stream. Like I've got both of the option, and if I hit stream, quality is excellent.
Yes.
And I can download the game to have it on my PlayStation 5. But like for Street of Rage 4, there's no point in installing that game. It'll be worth it, like for Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, which looks amazing. But then again, I've played it in cloud and it looked really good. So Sony is trying to introduce the public more and more to cloud gaming, and it doesn't hide it in the menus. It's really present on the PlayStation 5. So it's some interesting moves we're seeing. Another piece of news that came out this week that's not so good is Sony facing lawsuit over PlayStation Store digital sales exclusivity. I wasn't so sure. I was like, what the heck is that? And I read more into it. The thing is, Sony used to allow retailers like Walmart, like Amazon, and other retailers to sell digital codes so you can buy digital games on your system. And a few years ago, it talks about it in the article, I think it was 2019, they stopped. They stopped providing digital codes for stores.
Yep.
And it's now only the PlayStation Network. What happens is that a lot of stores actually offer deals for these games. Like they bought them in bulk and offered a deal this week, get $20 off a game, and that would also apply on the digital version of the game. Now they cannot do that on the digital version, and the only place you can go is on the PlayStation Network, and they don't always offer promotions like that. Sony will do its own sales, but a lot of time the games on the PlayStation Network will never be as cheap as what you'll find in store for retail copies. So that's an interesting
I was just
case
talking
happening.
I was in GameStop the other day, just talking to the manager about that. And we were talking about, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, I don't know.
Seeing what's going on with Epic and Apple, the exclusivity, like the monopole lawsuit that's going on, monopoly, because that is some kind of monopoly. If you want a digital version of the game, Sony is the only place you can buy it. That's not looking good for them if it gets to court.
No, Nintendo, long time ago, they were ruthless, man, when it came to back in the 80s with retailers, and they went to court and they said, hey, people are making jokes about Nintendo, and that's why Sega had to do what it had to do to go up against Nintendo. But I think I don't think they're going to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to win this.
Go ahead, Chase.
The Epic lawsuit and this one are two, like I was just reading over the article, they're two totally different premises and two totally different legal arguments that are being made. Sony isn't restricting, and I'm going to try to say this in the simplest way without getting into legalese. They're not harming another company by a percentage of a sale, which is what the whole situation is that's going on with Epic. It's a completely different scenario. This is Sony saying, we chose not to deal with you anymore as a storefront, and we're just going to be our own storefront. I don't know that that's been tested in the courts before in that kind of manner. So I don't necessarily, I don't know that there's a strong pathway to say one way or the other what's going to happen. And to be fair, I'll be honest with you all, the Epic situation, I thought that Apple walking into that case had a strong case, being able to, because of precedent that's been in other court cases surrounding that situation. But Epic came in with a very sound legal argument of PCs. Their argument is, well, we broke up the PC monopoly, or in the past, the PC monopoly was broken up, because of the way that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now mobile phones are basically everyone's PC today. Why can't we look at it in the same manner? Which is not the legal argument I thought they were going to come in with. So it really depends on how they phrase their argument in this. And I don't think that this is a clear cut. Just to be fair, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I don't know that it's necessarily clear cut one way or the other on this, especially with it being a class action lawsuit. It can go any direction. Class action lawsuits are really, they're up and down. They can go in a weird direction that you never would anticipate in the court. They're really strange.
It's a lot is happening.
Well, they got their. I mean, I have a PS5 and it's not disc; it's digital. So I can't go into GameStop and go buy a CD or a disc. I have to download it, and where I gotta go, I gotta go to the store. But hell, if I go to GameStop and get a deal, get me a digital card and get a game, hell, I'll do it. But I don't know,
because that's the thing is, yes, you still have the option to buy PlayStation 5 games at GameStop, not if you have the digital version.
Exactly.
So
I got screwed with the remaster of Final Fantasy, to do the upgrade.
Who is bringing this lawsuit, by the way? I was trying to look here, but the link didn't say. Did they outline that, Doctor, of who's filing it?
I'm going back through it because it was detailed by Bloomberg, but
It's a consumer
filed by
generated.
consumers that file it.
So basically, the argument that consumers are making is, why should we have to go through your storefront and not go through someone else's? Well, Sony's argument's going to be, well, if you want to buy a Ford, you got to go through Ford. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but that's.
But you used to do it in the past, though. Stop now. Why are you stopping now? And you used to do it. Because I used to go in and buy your games. Why are you doing this? I bought your console digital because I have an extra $100. Come on now.
I feel like that one, it's not a strong case, but there's still a case because it was available before. So
it'll still make its way through the process of whether or not they'll settle out, and then they'll determine whether it'll go to court. So
Yeah.
Rodella had a nice comment there tied to this.
why is only Sony getting sued for this? Doesn't Xbox do the same thing?
welcome to the world of class action lawsuits.
Yep.
Microsoft knows because Microsoft already went through stuff like this with Windows, so they must be doing something that they to avoid this stuff. They don't want to go down this monopoly path again.
Right.
Hey, we got Ultimate Game Pass, y'all. Come on now.
Stop.
Come on, get that
Well,
Game
see,
Pass.
That's why I asked who was bringing the lawsuit, because if it was the retailers, that's different, and that might be an interesting case to follow. But because it's consumer driven, I don't know. You know, I wouldn't.
Is it? I guess I'll have to read the article to see exactly what brought it on in the first place. Was it that they just didn't want to go through the PlayStation Store, or they just pissed off that they couldn't get what they wanted?
The best analogy. The best analogy that I could use is the one I used earlier. Is that they were happy at one point that you could go buy the Ford Mustang at this place, and the Ford dealership, right? But then if Ford then walked back and said, well, no, we're not going to do that anymore, and on top of that, we're going to dictate what our prices are, which, I mean, again, is it consumer friendly? No. Is it something that I'm a fan of? No. But as a business, they have the right to dictate their prices. So that's where this one's a little bit. It's a little interesting.
This would, like, looking at a legal aspect of this. This is definitely an interesting one to watch because that it does pique my interest. I do like reading things when it comes to the legal side of things, to just watch, because lawsuits are just, they're always in the news anyway. So it's always fun to see what someone's trying to, if they're going to win, and how they bring about these issues.
The thing is, class action lawsuits often doesn't lead change. It just leads companies paying out stuff to the people who are doing the class action lawsuit.
I got a couple class actions. Hey, they can be good, folks.
Well.
But Ray, was it just those letters they send you in the mail? Join this class action lawsuit, and you'll get a portion of this money.
No,
and it's like,
man, my job. The company was doing something with your time cards, and so
no, I was just kidding. I was kidding.
They did something with the time. They sent the note, and then like a couple of years later, I got a check in the mail. So, I mean, hey. Sometimes, believe it or not, man, companies do screw up, and things happen. But I hear what you're saying. Company, hey, it's my product. I'm gonna price it the way I want. So I totally understand that part as well.
Yeah.
On the more positive side, there is I think it's Vet that shared that a moment ago. Something for accessibility, that Sony filed in a patent for image stabilization. So basically, if you have an handicap like eyesight problems and all that, you have accessibility features for when you're playing a game. But if you want to stream, not everyone has that eyesight problem. So Sony is filing in a patent to allow you to have basically 2 different streams of the same game, so that you're seeing like your own stream adapted to your visual problems, visual impairments, from what I understand, while doing a separate stream, if you're streaming on YouTube or any channels like that, of the actual standard specs of the game. So that's an interesting bit. So to allow basically streamers who needs special circumstances if they can play, but allowing the public to see what the game really looks like if they would have perfect eyesight, for example.
Well, you definitely gonna need that when you do that 4K VR. Because that's gonna, man, I'm telling you, the 4K in your eyes.
4K, 100% in front of your eyes.
Come on, man.
I read the specs on their PSVR stuff. I was just like, I didn't read all of the specs, but I read briefly, and I was just amazed with it.
JD, you know you're invisible, right?
I am.
Hey, JD, where you at, man?
He's the invisible.
He's hiding behind the wall.
I'm the invisible guy right here.
He's in the multiverse. No, he's in the multiverse.
I'm everywhere, man. I'm everywhere.
JD is doing like Doctor Strange, like disappearing, appears in another portal.
He's trying to find a way to get to the library over here.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it over where Ben is at, man. Get some.
Not everybody can live the fancy life.
Right, you know.
Right.
This is what happens when I don't buy a PlayStation 5, folks. I can afford this. That's why I invest in the cloud.
That's about right. When Resident Evil Village news I came about,
about that game.
the performance capture, the mocap, because apparently Capcom, where they made the game, where they were hiring the actors, they didn't really have mocap equipment that was state of the art. They actually shot all of the mocap at Sony Santa Monica studio. That is a bit of an interesting news. So they have been working extremely closely with Sony. They have a strong path together. Just right now, you look at the sales, I think about 80% of the sales for Resident Evil Village are on the PlayStation 4 and 5. But they actually use Sony Santa Monica. So that's the studio that makes God of War, for reference. A very strong PlayStation game series. So they actually went to Sony Santa Monica to shoot all the performance for the mocap for the game.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that? Might that have influenced some stuff that happened? Because we also know that the platform where the game plays the more beautifully, like it's the most stable and all, is a PS5.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. Hey, man, them werewolves are coming down at you. You know, I mean, good Lord.
Still won't get me to buy that game. Sorry. It's just not happening.
Believe it or
I refuse to play that game.
He said no.
Hey, honestly, I think Resident Evil 7 was more scarier.
And I'm still not. It doesn't matter. I don't care. That could be a kid game, and I still won't play it. I won't. I will. I could even. I don't care if I bought the game. I'm still not going to touch it.
Yeah,
it's going to take a hell of a lot of super chat to get me to play that game on stream.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the amount of super chat. I ain't playing it.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, man. There's some times I jump. There's some times I jump.
Man.
I've watched people play it, and I've still jumped, and I'm not even playing the game. So that was enough to know that I'm not going to touch that game.
Yeah. I'm not touching it.
Put the volume down if you're watching Meg play it.
Yeah. Meg's hilarious watching that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man, sometimes I barely hear her talk and she screams like
See, it's helpful if you're starting to doze off in a stream and then you tune to her channel, you can wake right up real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so did anyone else have something to want to bring up that they saw this week?
Yeah, it's covered everything I found.
Did we talk about
Yeah.
the Ratchet and Clank previews that came out today? I think we touched it very slightly.
Yeah, you touched on it a little bit, but the response from reviewers has been overwhelmingly positive.
Yup.
Mhm.
You know, and a lot of people saying that the way that they went about introducing the movement between um, spaces or worlds, however you wish to phrase it or define it, they've done one of the more impressive jobs in a game in a game release for a platform. You know, the way they've handled it. So again, kudos to Sony. You know that this game, in my opinion, even though I don't own a PlayStation, I think it's the next gen game. Well, no, I'm saying it wrong. It's the most next gen game that we have right now.
Mhm.
There's really nothing else out there like it. There probably won't be anything else out there like it for quite some time, with delays with games. So I think it's a testament to some amazing work from Sony and their in-house studios.
Yep.
I see that that changes background. But
I was waiting to see
Smart.
Dude, did you talk about Ubisoft news, man? And what they got
Ooh.
planned, dude? That's, if anything, that's, come on now.
Yeah, that's some big news as well. They're going
The biggest news.
which one are we talking? The delayed games or
the games as a service move they're doing.
Sorry, I wasn't calling them out for that.
Oh, go ahead. My bad.
Well, I'm just gonna say I'm not sure about that move. I know, like Hutchinson, who was in Typhoon Studio, looked at that and said, like, I'm really sad to see Ubisoft moving from single player games to multiplayer experience, like games as a service. I don't know. So, what do you think, Chase?
So, okay, two directions, two lanes. One is that the way they made it sound is that they're still going to be doing AAA games. It's just not going to be at the quantity that we've been seeing from them. They want to focus in on offering experiences to more players. On the other lane, this is what the marketplace is asking for. Consumers are asking for free-to-play titles.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I know I'm one of those individuals that I prefer a AAA game. I'd rather pay $60 for all the content versus paying for it individually. But I'm not the majority of the consumers out there. In fact, if we all are in that same boat, we're not on this panel because the majority of consumers want a Fortnite. They want a eventually Rainbow Six Siege, which will move towards more of a free-to-play model. They've already said that's going to happen.
Mhm.
Looking at Apex, looking at Rogue Company. I mean, I could go on and on and on. That is what consumers are wanting today, and the marketplace drives what companies do, and that's why Ubisoft is making that change. They're going in that direction because they're seeing the numbers.
Hey, Sam, what do you want for your birthday? Oh, Dad, I want this DLC. I want this skin.
Yeah.
I need this color. I need this character. I need this emote. Dad, I want this dance. I mean, I'm like, so, seriously, let me take you to the store. What do you want? That's what he wants.
I don't want any of this. Yeah, it's the add-ons and the DLCs. That's what's making money right now. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if more companies start to utilize that method.
I mean, wasn't it in the part of the Epic thing that came out that they made a lot of money on the NFL skins? I forgot how much it was. A boatload of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for NFL skins, like.
It's a psychological thing though, because you go, I didn't pay anything for the game, so I can give more to these things, and by the time you're done, you're like, oh crap, I spent $140. It's all said and done,
Bro.
That brings up a question. Like, you're talking about that NFL game that you're buying skins. Could we eventually, like, if we're going to games as services, could we eventually see Madden just become Madden and not Madden 20, 21, 22, 23. Just make a Madden game,
bro.
update a roster year after year, and provide like, okay, you want to play it with your team. If you want to layer the rosters, you have to buy a card pack and collect the players. And
if the game is good, I mean, they to be honest, look at it. Basically, is now. If you really break down what everybody complains about with Madden, what they don't really change. They add features in the newer games. The Street Fit thing, that was NFL Street. They brought back. They just added it in. They don't worry. They don't listen to the consumer when it comes to the franchise mode. And then when they do, they just bring in stuff back that they took away years ago. The biggest thing they do is they update the roster. They add things to what makes them money. And what makes money on Madden.
Bro, sneakers and basketball games, man. Seriously. Sneakers, jerseys, football. They got the skins, the shoes.
If you look at 2K, the 2K franchise, Madden franchise, it's all about the cards and all of the other things that you have to pay extra to compete with. That's where everybody's going. I don't give two craps about that. I stick to the franchise, but I still pay for the game.
I'd easily see the model move that from new seasons, like every year, all the legacy players are now in unranked games, and if you want to play rank, you get a new set of boosters that you get cards that you can make your team with, and then you buy premium packs to get better players. So I see that happening.
This is
I can see it, but if EA does that, they ain't gonna keep me I'll stick to some older versions that I already have. I can care less. I will not. Yeah. I don't invest any money in that crap to begin with. I could care less about buying cards and boosts. I don't play any of the stuff. I stick to the franchise, and I don't even play that online. So would that benefit me? Hell no. I wouldn't waste my time on that stuff. I would go play something else then.
See, I'll get the free games, but you just play and win. Like I tell my son, look, son, if you play and you get to a certain level, you get this. Why you want to just cheat and just buy everything in advance?
Because that's our mindset, and the younger kids don't care about that. They just want to get all of the new stuff that's advertised.
Yeah.
Come on, Dad. I just want all of that new stuff, man. I don't want to wait.
Joey's got this, and Frank's got that. All my friends, they got all the emotes. I'm going to look like a nerd because I don't have it. I said, well, then put on some glasses, nerd, because I ain't buying it.
Exactly. And one of the things that I get mad about is that when these games come out, it's not even free to play that I'm mad about. Really, it's like let's take Borderlands 3. When they come out, Super Deluxe Edition, and then I'm like, okay, that's the Ultimate Edition right there. I'm gonna pay whatever it costs for the Ultimate Edition,
man.
And then next thing you know, a year later, Ultimate Edition. I'm like,
the Founders Ultimate Edition, right?
Right. The Founders Ultimate Edition. Yep. This Ultimate Edition
with the Season Pass 2.
Right, with Season Pass 2.
The Season Pass 2 pre-sequel.
It's just like the Mortal Kombat games, the Mortal Kombat 11 or the edition.
Bro, you know they're gonna do it to the next WWE wrestling game comes out. You know they're gonna do that. You know they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
It frustrates me because as a consumer, I like to be, a little bit savvy with it and frugal and catch deals and stuff. Oh, I can buy the Ultimate Edition, $50 when it goes down in price, whatever. I'm cool. And then they be like, yo, we got an Ultimate Edition. Ain't a part of that sale that you just got, like, oh man, it's another
Ultimate combo.
Right, with the skins and the packs and the people that you want to play as, they leaving everybody out, and I don't like. It's bad for consumers,
I agree.
In my eyes.
Wasn't it Dead or Alive 5 that came out free to play, but with like 2 fighters?
Yeah,
and everything else was like DLC all over the place.
Yeah, they had like Dead or Alive 5 had the most DLCs for a fighter I ever seen in my life, man. And I wish I could bring it up or go to it. Yeah, it was crazy, and it wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap.
No,
Right.
it cost a fortune.
See, that's where for me and the companies that have done it right so far, there's a couple. It's not a lot, but it's where they bundle their content. Not all of it, mind you. They still keep some things separate because they want to make some extra money. I get it.
Right.
But a majority of their content they bundle into their season passes. That I'm fine with. Like, that's okay. Like, if you're going to do the season pass plus XP plus, let's say you get 4 characters that are designed to come out during that season that you'd have to buy individually anyways, do it that way, minus whatever other cosmetics you're not going to include in it that are like those extra things that are kind of like perks, if you will. But don't, like JD said, don't all of a sudden say, well, here's the season pass, you get 4 characters, and then halfway through the life cycle of the season pass you go, oh, well, guess what, we lied, there's actually 6 characters instead of 4, and to get those 6 characters you got to spend another $20. It's like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that to people.
Yeah. It drives me up the wall,
But
man.
you know, if they have a game that like cost them this so much to make and they're not making the money on it, they're gonna make it on the back end with these DLCs and all this other stuff and some.
Yeah, look, here it is. Dead or Alive 5 last round costs over $1,000 if you want everything, all the content.
Yeah.
Wait. Pause. Can you say the number again?
Yeah.
Time out, guys. Time out.
$1,000 if you want every single piece of content for DOA 5.
Oh my god.
6 DLC packs with over 100 costumes.
And that's on for
PS4.
For PS4, Xbox One, DOA 5.
But I've seen games on Steam, and yes, this isn't a PlayStation thing, but I've seen the add-ons that you can buy for some games on Steam that blow past $2,000, and I'm just like,
on mobile. You go on mobile and you get like those lottery packs that you can get for characters to get your 5-star character.
Yeah.
yeah. See,
I used to play one of the Marvel games. Like, I was you could actually see like how you were ranking. It's like, okay, I made it in the top 20% players in the world, and I get in the better league. I don't remember the name of the game. It's Marvel RPG game. It was nice. But at one moment, I was like, I made it to a better league. It's like, okay, you got good stats. And I see like a new expansion coming. It's like, oh, I just dropped $100 on getting a character unlocked to 5 stars. Like, what the heck? And like everyone was like legit. Some of the guys like had a $150 budget per week that were putting in a game to upgrade their characters on a mobile game.
Yeah.
They were investing thousands of dollars a year on that mobile game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I was just like playing with my free characters that I was like logging in like 5 times a day just to be sure that I get the maximum potential out of my energy and getting everything and not putting a penny in this game.
Oh, what? There was another one. DC had an online superhero game or something similar.
Yeah.
DC Universe Online?
Yeah, DC Universe Online.
Yep, where you could create your free character, but the only way to actually succeed in the game was to drop a crap ton of money and buy like everything. It was
a subscription, then there was additional add-on content, and that's what I'm talking about. If you're gonna do content, do it in a season pass and keep it consistent. God,
Basement broke his back. I got a family to feed, man.
Drop $1,000.
What amazes me is everybody complains about that, but the problem is that they keep doing it because people still keep spending money. Like, but you're the same. You're part of the problem because you're complaining that you're spending this money, that they're charging all of this, but you're still buying it. So what is you can't justify it then.
Yeah, it won't change until people say enough is enough, and we're not at that point yet, unfortunately. Like I said, we're the folks that enjoy the individual game purchases, we are now officially in the minority. We're no longer the
agree.
majority
I
of
agree.
what consumers want
I
today,
agree.
and that's just something that
It's
until it's kind of like what's going on with subscriptions with TV shows. That's now starting to where people are getting fatigued with it, and they're starting to kind of walk back. And now companies you're seeing are doing what? They're either dropping the price or they're increasing the content. That will eventually happen in gaming. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
PlayStation is still going strong on sales though. Like we've seen earlier, someone posted the numbers, but yeah, right here, Anders. UK box sales of Resident Evil Village was 49% on the PlayStation 5, 31% on the PlayStation 4, and 20% on the Xbox. So 80% of the sales on the PlayStation, both systems, even the PlayStation 4 that sold less than the PS5 sold more than everything Xbox. So sales are still a thing, but yeah, it might tone down eventually. But PlayStation, the PS5 is the best selling console of all time right now. It keeps breaking record, and it's only slowed down by its slowed down production. But they're still producing a lot because they're selling like crazy. So
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter's making people on Twitter that are making back just by growing their own their Twitter channel or whatever they do, just by broadcasting who's got the latest insider stuff. I'm like, why am I question myself? I'm like, what? Maybe I need to shift from YouTube and start doing that. I can. That's the next thing now. Apparently, it's just to start finding out all the insider information and give it out to people. Yeah. I mean, there was a YouTube channel had like the guy was just getting ready to go live, and he had like 900 people waiting there just to find out where to go to get a PlayStation 5, and it just I'm just like, really. Like so apparently I just need to shift my channel over and rebrand to be like, hey, I'm going to start giving out information to grow faster, because apparently that's the thing. I mean, the demand is so freaking high, and I'm surprised. It just blows my mind that it's still this high.
It sells out in seconds.
Xbox doing a dope thing, in case y'all didn't see the news, where they have the insider program and you're able to buy an Xbox if you have a One X. And that's rolling out to a couple of people. So I think things like that, man, that's a really good idea to make sure that, people really get those systems.
Bet Sony can't like come up with their own chips and chipsets and everything that they need to do. I mean, I've seen,
and the Xbox is still limited.
I was implying more with just in general with start building your own damn chips. I mean, we've seen Apple shift away from Intel, and Google's shifting away from Qualcomm. I'm surprised they're just integrating everything into it. I mean, Apple's already done that with the GPU and the CPU, so wouldn't surprise me that consoles try to do the same thing at some point.
Sony's too smart. That's what happened with the PS3. It was too powerful, and the developers couldn't work with it, and so Sony said, "We ain't doing that no more." So
that's actually one of the. Like in that Wire article I talked about earlier, there's Mark Cerny that also made some comments in that article. And one of the things he talks about is because Mark Cerny, for anyone who doesn't know, he's the architect who made both the PS4 and the PS5. He's been working at Sony for the PlayStation since the PS1. Actually, when the PS1 came out, he got one of the dev kit. And he signed a bunch of studios like Naughty Dog and what became Insomniac, but it was another company before, and a bunch of other studios that signed him to work for Sony to make PlayStation exclusives back then. That's how he made his way into Sony. It's a whole other very interesting story, but he actually became the PlayStation architect around the time of the PlayStation 4. So he's the one who built the PS4 and the PS5. And when he built the PS5, like he calibrated in a certain way. It's like, okay, this is going to be a great system, but we're not going to see great games come out of that because it's so complex for quite a while, until at least generation 2 of games. Right now, we're still in the generation 1. he was given a time frame of about like 6 more months. Then we're going to close the first generation of PS5 game, which is the introduction of the system. Then there is going to be Gen 2 and Gen 3, which is going to be like for the next few years and the end of the console. But he said there's already some games like Spider-Man that was a PS4 game was adapted to the PlayStation 5, already showing ray tracing to the point he wasn't expecting. He was surprised when he saw the footage. It's like, okay, they were already pulling that power. And with the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart footage came out today, they actually showed, he actually did an interview. It's like, yeah, when I saw the demos for that, it's like, it's mind-blowing. I was expecting that quality of game to come out in like 6 years or something like that. I don't remember how much time he was saying, but he was not expecting that to come out this year. Yeah, so I got the article. Yeah, I can find exactly the spot where he talks about this, but he was not ready for that type of quality of games to come out already. So it just pays tribute to Insomniac how good games they're making. But there's also some other studios that are doing impressive stuff with the hardware already. So the pandemic hit hard, but gaming is something that people were able to get around in the pandemic. It really helped, and we can see studios actually take that to heart. They recognize how big of an impact they're having through that pandemic, helping people out, and they're really pouring their souls into their games right now, and we can see the quality right now. What do you guys think about this?
I mean, they're smart developers, man. We see it time and time again with their exclusives. We see it time and time again, even with PS3, and people want home back, and how Sony can pretty much overshoot the market with with their technology, basically. And it doesn't surprise me because Jim Ryan already said that they had to tell the developers to stop building so much on the PS5 because they could have made it cost much more and be more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark Cerny did a pitch for PlayStation 5 that would have cost $1,200 at retail. He had to chop down. They're like, no, you're changing the part.
But you know what though? If it had cost how much you want to bet people would still have bought it? It probably still would have sold out. The second part is
thousands of dollars on PS5.
Yeah,
they go on eBay and they're dropping, way more than they need to be because they're impatient. They don't want to wait. So to sell a system for $1,200, that's like, I mean, look at Samsung. When they said, well, we're gonna sell a phone that costs $2,000, and everyone's like, are you mad? No one's gonna pay that. And yet we see plenty of people that were dumb enough to buy it. I mean, Anthony bought one, so that doesn't.
Yeah, Chase.
Yeah, I think the one thing that benefited Sony though right now, and I think it's gonna give them an initial push considering all of the dynamics that are going on right now, but they kept the specifications the same across both models of the PlayStation, both the disc and the digital. And because of that, it's benefiting them because people aren't as hesitant to pick up the digital version versus the disc if they really wanted to get the disc for their home entertainment. Xbox went the different route. Let's try to make it an approachable, cost-effective measure for consumers where it's easier for them to get into next-gen gaming, and make it more of kind of like a Game Pass type of machine versus the Series X. And there's a lot of people that didn't go towards the Series S and wanted to hold off on the Series X, even though the Series S has sold a really good number of consoles. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, Sony went for the approach of let's keep it uniform so that both options are great, and especially during this time frame when both of the consoles are limited as it is, you're not going to have people holding off saying, I don't really want that one. I'll take either one because they're basically the same minus, getting the disc.
I got the disc one, and I haven't yet put any disc in there. I haven't even tried the disc drive yet.
Same.
That's just because you got lucky to get yours.
I love the digital, man. I just, hey, I love the digital. and I already did
But
external hard drives.
It is nice though. Like that's the thing that I think had them went out with the initial launch of the next gens over Microsoft was that the specs were the same, and you're losing a disk drive, but you're not losing anything else. So it was a Sony. I would say even with you factoring in the limited, so that you can't find them anywhere anymore, they still won right now. Initially, will that stay the same? I don't know, but at the moment, I would say Sony still came out on top of this because people they want something that's going to be able to handle everything, and that's just when you're going from the One X to the Series S or X, you're going to want the better of the two systems.
But if you look at the disc version of the games, like for example, if you were to buy a Destiny 2 game disc, that disc does nothing else than give you a game key. It's no longer the install.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of interrupted you. I just wanted to add that.
No, that's okay. I was listening, and then I lost where I was going with that at that point. So my old age kicked in.
It's all right. That this version of my old PS4 game, it's useful for that, but I've been going for digital for a while now because it's really useful that you don't have to let's say you're traveling or you're on the road, you go to somebody else's place, they happen to have a console, you can just log in and install your games and load your save file from the cloud and just keep on your game, which what will be even better is once it's fully cloud integrated, then that will be just amazing. But I haven't been pulled toward disc games for quite a while now, so I don't see the usefulness anymore for disc games.
A lot of times, wasn't it like you go to GameStop when you're buying the disc, it was only because you were getting some extra perks that they were giving you. You're paying extra for digital content that you're downloading anyways to go along with it. So it's really, to me, it was no different than if you total it out, I'm sure it almost equaled out. But I never cared about it because I would buy the extra one. I would pre-order the extra ones and then I would just buy the regular one by the time I got there because I would spend too much money buying other games at the same time, so my budget would plummet down. But that's what when you're buying the disc-based version, usually it was because something was included with it. That to me, that was what it was always about. For me, I don't know, it may be the same for everyone else. That could have been what it was. A lot of times otherwise I could just as easily download it and not have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I see the disc version just like that, just for collecting. It's fun to have, but it's not more useful. I can easily find pretty much all of these games in a digital version of some sorts.
Right.
So, and the digital version will always be good. Discs, even if you're super careful with them, over time the plastic degrades. I don't remember how long it is.
Or if you're a parent and you have children that like to grab shit. Yeah. Then all of a sudden you go to put your game in that you just spent $80 for, and it's got a giant scratch across it. And sorry, you're gonna have to.
That's actually, my son, fingerprints. I'm trying to teach him how to hold the disc, how to put it inside the case, not scratch it, and
I have a 3-year-old, well, a 4-year-old basically now, and I would much rather have a digital one without a disc drive because I've had Xboxes and every one of them, I basically it was turned into a digital magically by one touch. Because the drive would come out to open and he'd just walk by, smash it in, and then now it's a digital console.
That happened to my Xbox 360, dude. My son, I'm like, dude, why did my door open it? No. I was like, what did you do to my door?
See, to me, that was why I was so glad when they came out with the digital only ones, because I was like, I have kids. I don't have to worry about them screwing up all my games or breaking my drive, and then I'm going to basically turn it in and go buy a new one.
Yeah.
I only bought the disc version because that's the one I found. I was actually shopping for the digital version. But I think if you guys don't have any more subjects to bring to the table, I think we're gonna
Yeah, because
wrap
I got no
this
more.
up.
I got no more tokens in front of me, dude. Now,
Your your
you about to get me killed, murdered,
your brownie
missing,
points are expiring right now.
Yeah,
Man,
like
she's getting
husband
closer.
tokens.
bro.
She's getting closer.
Ray, that is a daily thing, man.
So
That's a,
Chase know what I'm talking about.
just hop through the hole right there in my screen. Just jump through that multiverse, man. You'll be
yeah,
good.
you'll get
Right
into
there for a
another
while.
dimension.
Those husband tokens, man, they go fast. You got to be careful.
You gotta be careful how you
See, I
spin
don't have to
them.
worry about that. My wife.
Dude, we got
Second.
Memorial Day weekend coming up, and I'm like, honey, I got a show to do.
She's like, that's your show right there.
Anyway, so Ray, where can we find you?
I work behind the scenes at the SBCN with my good buddy here, Stadia Vet. I also work with my wonderful friend Rock. We're working on another season of Rock and Ray. Retro Rewind, which is a hit show. We're doing that this coming up Sunday. We got Lukey 6, and we have another very special guest that's going to be on that show. And then I stream Mondays nights and Saturday night and Sunday nights.
Awesome stuff.
Thanks
for joining us, Ray. JD, where can we find you?
Oh man, JD3MXP on all social media channels, all gaming platforms. You can find me at the Waypoint Gaming Podcast with Rick and the Christian Gamer Dad, and you can find me working on the Stadia Bash Community Network Friday nights, lights or fights. It might be something else on the Friday, but I'm getting it in. We got the 50.
I hear he's got a Friday night dance party coming up soon.
Right, Friday night dance party is Friday night down sites. It might be something you never know. But we got a $50 Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Tournament going down next Friday, I believe, the 21st. Ooh. So hey man, stay tuned
on that because I'll get knocked out in the first round.
Thank you very much.
That way.
Thanks a lot, JD, for joining the podcast. And Stadia Vet, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube, Stadia Vet Gaming, Twitter at Stadia Vet Gaming. 5 Monday through Friday, I'm always streaming. So be it Stadia, Xbox, Cloud Gaming, PlayStation Now, GeForce Now. I'm somewhere, and if I'm not streaming, I'm on the CloudStationTV podcast. I'm on Rock's Review, or I'm just harassing other. Oh, good Lord. Don't let Anthony see that old game.
For the podcast listeners, that was Ray showing a copy of SOCOM 4.
Or PlayStation.
PlayStation 3.
So you guys can find me anywhere. If I'm not streaming or I'm not on a podcast, I'm in somebody else's chat harassing them,
killing cats.
Yep, all that fun stuff in the Old West. Bang bang.
Awesome, and thank you very much for joining us, Stadia Vet. And Chase, thank you very much for joining us as our guest here. Always good seeing you, good friend of mine. Awesome content creator. So where can we find you?
Well, you can find me first on social media at Phantom UFC Fan on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, The Gaming Advocate. I do 2 pieces of content a week, the 5 and 5, which is 5 stories from gaming and cloud gaming in 5 minutes or less. And then on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time is Saturday Morning Coffee Talk, which is just kind of a laid-back conversation surrounding, again, gaming and cloud gaming. And then just to promote one thing real quick, because I need to do a better job of it, is on the 29th of this month at 11 a.m. Eastern time is a Rogue Company community tournament. It's being hosted by the Trash Mob Gaming community. And they're sponsoring it, but I'm hosting it. Let me make sure I say that right. Anyways, there's going to be some prizes.
I won one of these at some time.
Yeah, you did. Go ahead. Just go ahead with the bragging rights. But it's the second version of this. And if you want to join, you can actually go over to my Twitter page. I'm going to be putting out another announcement tomorrow morning again about it. And you bring your your best 4 for your squad. It's demolition. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun last time. It's a really
I got murdered.
Easy.
I got my tail kicked, folks.
It's an easy game to get into, but it also has a lot of depth to it. So any of you that have played Rogue Company, you'll know it does have a lot of depth to it. So if you're interested, definitely join. It's through Gilded is where the tournament setup is, and we're taking entries. I believe it's a few days before. So definitely join if you can, or if you want to. Sorry.
Awesome stuff. And once again, thank you very much for joining us. Really happy to have you on. And I'm Sebastian, aka DrSpaceman. You can find me on Twitter, DrSpaceman Games, and I'm also on YouTube, DrSpaceman. So I stream, well, every Wednesday evening we got CloudStationTV going on, and also I try to stream every Sunday evenings. Might be changing the time to. Anyway, I'll post about that here. Well, on Gilded at some time. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight. It's been awesome. The chat has been on fire.
Mhm.
So each and every one of you guys are appreciated. So we
Except
got
for you, Anthony.
Yeah, we had Eddie in the chat and Meg and Anders. Ryzak also showed up. Maker of
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
Nice to see you guys. And also Rodella was there, aka iFace Crook, for the
AKA the Xbox fanboy.
AKA JXR1. Oh,
and
man.
there was also a cowboy apparently. Anthony.
Well, yeah, we got rid of him though. We didn't need that bum.
And Rick Tone. Shout out to Rick.
Well, we
Oh,
appreciate
Rick
him.
Tone, yeah. Rick
Shout
Tone was
out,
earlier.
shout out to Rick Tone.
I will, and I'm going to say one more thing though. So Thursday, that Ryzak has a show coming up that's called Game Over. It's a Stadia challenge thing where it'll be me, Stadia Vet Gaming versus Meg, and I'm just letting everybody know now. I don't really care what the poll on Twitter says, where everybody literally voted against me.
Meg's gonna win. I got my money on Meg.
Stadia Vet Gaming.
Got my money on Meg. Come on, Meg.
You got the bookie already gave me the inside scoop. Stadia Vet wins by a landslide. So
Oh, and I skipped
if it
Paul.
doesn't, I
Did
may have to
skip
go
Paul?
spend another
Yeah, you
$1,500
did.
on a new
yeah,
computer
yeah.
because I made breaks.
Paul,
So
thanks for coming.
Here's my
All
recommendation.
the time.
Someone needs to clip that part right there so that when the inevitable happens, someone can play it back for him.
Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I know it is. Well, I did get some votes at least. I may have accidentally not voted for myself, but so I'm not setting a good bar there. But it's all good. It's all fun.
You. Sorry about this.
Hey,
Thanks a lot
special
for
shout
coming.
out to Paul, man. He's been here almost every time.
Yes,
And he has the
special.
funniest comments.
Yeah, he
In-
does.
Oh, he
In
does.
the chat.
He said,
Hold on, man. My wife's in the
denial.
background, man. Hey, hurry up. I see my wife.
Hey, you better run.
I'm gonna die.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. This was an awesome podcast. Cloud Station TV, awesome news we got for a lot of stuff happening. So have a good evening, one.
Thank you, Doctor, for getting all the wonderful news, man. People, you got to give it up to the doc because he just does so much research and looks up stuff.
And everything, a lot of what he says comes true. So
Yeah,
he's got the inside scoop.
The show would be nothing without him, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
shout out to Doc.
Run, Ray. But thank you very much, guys. And I'm not alone in this. Those awesome folks do a lot of research as well. We're collaborating together. So we're going to wrap this up. This was Cloud Station TV. See you again next week. Goodbye.
You guys.
Goodbye. I'm dead.
Later.